Site Contractors, and I'm going to take a few minutes and go ahead and share this live on a few of my pages and things like that. So just bear with me. Usually, if you're watching this video, go ahead and skip to about the 3-minute mark, and I'll go ahead and get started. That just gives a few people time to log on and everything else. So if you're watching this on a replay, just go ahead and skip to the 3-minute mark. Like contractors, and I'm going to take a few minutes. Okay. Share there. Group. Hey, I see some people jumping on. How are you guys doing tonight? Go. Okay, let me make sure it's popping up on my. There we go. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Where do we got everybody joining us from? Got about 4 or 5 people have already jumped on. Where are you guys from? Now, if you are watching this, make sure you click on the actual live. If you're putting a comment on a post, like in Facebook or YouTube, I might not see it. I need you to actually click on the live to leave a comment. See. There we go. That is live. All right. Good stuff. Cornwall, North Carolina. And that's even how Tanner talks, like this. That's how we all talk here in North Carolina. Cornwall, North Carolina. I don't even know where Cornwall is. Is that out there by Lizard Lick? Yeah, Lizard Lick, North Carolina is a real place, but no, it is not the same place. Atlanta. Okay, very cool, man. A lot of business out in Atlanta. And you see you're watching us, Will, you're joining us from Atlanta on see you got a little YouTube, so checking us out on YouTube. I haven't checked that out yet, so I'm glad to see it's working there. Tanner's joining us from Cornwall, North Carolina. So for those of y'all who don't know, Tanner actually works for CLC, and if you do any of the pickup in North Carolina, he's probably the man that's sweating, getting your order ready to go. We're working on some cool things doing Red Dead Redemption. I don't know what Red Dead Redemption is. But he's the guy getting your stuff. I think that's a video game. It's been a while since I've done that. So what you're gonna have to stream Ease XD from YouTube. You're gonna have to let me know what this is in reference to. But look, we got a bunch of people jumping on right now. Here's what I want to do. I want to introduce myself because a lot of y'all don't know. We've had a ton of people join our Christmas Light Contractors group in the last year that don't know who I am or don't know who Fred are. So I'm going to take a few minutes and just share my story. My name is Donovan Questenberry. You can see right here. I am the co-owner of Christmas Light Contractors. Myself and Fred Zimmerman are 50-50 partners. We always have been since day one. A lot of people think, oh, are you partnered up with somebody else or this? No, Fred and I are 50-50 partners. We have to agree on everything we do. And Fred has been installing Christmas lights for, I want to say, like probably close to going on 15, 20 years now. I started back in 2018. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. Look at me. All right, there you go. Cool, dude. There you go. Look at you. There you go. I don't know who this is. You gotta put your name in the chat for me to know who that is. So I had started installing lights in 2018. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so I'd been running my own service business for a really long time. I was doing a lot of gutter cleaning, and I started out as a window cleaning company. About the time you get interested in ladies, find out you got to have a little bit of money. So I just decided to jump in while in high school and do some window cleaning that turned into gutter cleaning. And then after I got introduced to a guy named Jason Guyman, we started doing some trainings for Christmas lights and power washing. I was like, oh, okay, well, if half the training's power washing, I might as well learn a little bit of that. So I started offering a little bit of power washing as well. I will tell you this. I would not be here today if it was not for Fred Zimmerman. And when I started getting a little bit of experience in the industry, there were a few companies doing trainings at times and selling product and stuff like that. And I didn't like the training atmosphere. I went to Fred. Fred also had some similar concerns. I was like, dude, let's just tell people in the group where in our group back then was like 1,000 people or something like that. It was really small. We got 13,000 installers in the group these days. But I was like, let's just tell people where they can start, buying lights from, and maybe we can get like a little small percentage. And we were going to like take over the world. And so the first year we started doing that. And we were doing drop shipping and stuff like that. And we just thought that it was the coolest thing that we could possibly do. Year 2, we started having our own warehouse in North Carolina, and we started shipping some things out ourselves. Fred and I were bringing a lot in, and we figured, hey, if we can get some stuff for us, we get a better price, and we'll sell all the extra stuff. Maybe we'll get a little discount on materials. And it's turned into a whole community. So we have now, it's grown from 1,000-person Facebook group into like 13,000 people. Now we have warehouses that are all over the country, and we can pretty much 2-day ship anywhere in the US. You just pay for ground shipping. You go to our website and you get professional grade stuff. And what's a little bit different about us is that there is no Christmas light contractor brand as of today. Maybe in the future there will be. But what we're known for is having all the major brands. So the number one brand in the Christmas light industry is Minleon, right? Minleon's been around for 20 years. And so we have all of Minleon's product on our website. We have HBL, we have S4, we have CLD. We have all these brands where everybody has basically known now. You can go to the CLC website and you can look at all the different brands, and you can get some of the best, you can get absolutely some of the best pricing and all of the name brands. What sets us apart? I think that Fred and I are still installers. Like, I still own MC Christmas lights. Some of these houses behind us, or some of the houses behind me, are jobs that I have put up. Fred Zimmerman, again, still has a Christmas light business, but he and I both pay our bills through our Christmas light business. His brother, Tyler Zimmerman, works for us, and he does the RGB, the permanent lighting. That's his division. Guess what? Tyler has a permanent light install business. So I think one thing that sets us apart is that we are still boots on the ground, and that we are still active installers. And the distribution is a labor of love. It is something that pretty much all the profit that we've made from it has gotten reinvested back into the business to grow it, get better pricing for us as installers and our community as well. It has turned profitable. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that. When we buy a bulb, we sell it at a profit. But one thing we're installers, and the second thing we do, and this is why I'm going live, and this is why I'm kind of sharing all these tips and tricks and why I'm closing jobs and everything else, is that we firmly believe that if we can help the installer start and grow their business, if we focus on the new installer and the growing installer, right, that if we help them, we do everything in our power to start and grow their business, that you, our community, are going to appreciate that. And then in turn, we have a chance to earn your business. The better that you do, the more lights that you'll need. And in turn, Christmas light contractors will grow. So we have a goal of putting the installer first and helping the installer grow at every level of their business. And when you get to the point that you're ready to bring in whole shipping containers and stuff like that, we'll just put you in touch with Minleon, and you can order factory direct just like we do. And if you're not at that point yet, come January, February, let's say you're growing your business to $200,000, you got some extra cash at the end of the year. Well, in December through January, February, you can participate in our group buy as well and get really great pricing on all these name brand products. So that's a little bit about me and where we came from. What I haven't shared is like the reason why it means so much to me. If you've come to some in-person trainings, you've gotten to know me a little bit, but if you're just watching me through Facebook videos or something like that, maybe you don't know my story, maybe you don't know my background, but I got 4 kids. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk about them today. Here's a little photo shoot that we did. Here's what I'm going to talk about. I want everybody to guess. Put it in the chat right now, okay? How much do you think that this photo right here cost me? Okay, how much do you think? And I wasn't there, but how much do you think my wife paid for this photo? All right, that's what I want you guys to guess. So I'll zoom in. So it was the photo shoot. There we go. So it was the photo shoot, the 4 kids, they all dressed up. There's a fancy background, everything else. But I'm going to be talking about premium service tonight. And I'll tell you what, they sure think that this thing right here is premium. So I want everybody to put in the chat right now, how much you think my wife paid for this right here. So I got 4 kids and yeah, $550. Brooke, I wish it was only $550. Okay. So there's a hint for you right there. Oh, Will, you're going the wrong direction, man. 200. Will, you're going the wrong direction. All right, Chuck. I wish it was only $850. Here we go. 625. Chuck is laughing. Chuck is laughing. Bro, they got us good. All right. They got us good. All right. Justin Willard. All right. Look, Justin, here's what I will say. My wife paid less than this, but they hit us up for substantially more. Okay. $90.99. All right. Freeland, I'll give you a tip. You're $1 off, son. You're $1 off. Okay. All right. Elizabeth. Woo. Hey, your husband keeps getting me to spend money on trucks and everything else. So I'm going to talk him into doing a 1999 photo shoot. There we go. Rocky right there saying 1400. All right. So here's what I want you to guess. What was their first offer to my wife? Okay. For a photo shoot. What was the number? And think of an astronomical number. Okay. It is higher than everybody has said. All right. So far. All right. So what do you think that they first offered to my wife, and you know what I mean? What was the first offer to her for the photo shoot? And then we're going to talk about premium pricing. All right. But look, guys, I want to get real to you for a little while. Well, I've been in business 20 years now. About 9 years ago, my wife was pregnant with our first kid. She's 9 months pregnant. She came in and she was crying. She said, "Donovan, we got to talk." She's sitting down on the bed, and we had that talk. I got into my own head, okay, and I froze. All right, while I was running my own business, I just quit working. Okay, I didn't leave the house till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just quit doing things. I maxed out our credit cards. I spent all of our savings, and my wife was like, "Look, I don't know how to buy groceries right now, and I don't know that we can pay our rent next month," and that for me was 9 years ago. And I had to sit down, and that's my driving factor to this day. That was my low point. That was, we were married for a year or two at that point. Baby's like a couple of months away, and me as a provider, like I was failing. I've told this story enough times that hopefully I won't tear up right now, but every other time that I think I've told it, especially from stage and stuff, like I had to pause, but I think that I've shared it enough now. It doesn't affect me that bad, but this to this day is my driving factor. I said to my wife, I said, "Look, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to make a promise to you. And I'll tell you one thing." I said, "I'm going to figure it out, and we will be able to pay our rent. And here's the promise to you. We will never again be in this financial position." Shortly after that, God put Fred Zimmerman in my life and introduced me to this industry. And I don't know that Christmas lights itself is what changed my financial future, but the combination of Fred Zimmerman and the industry, and even guys like Jason Guyman, and taught me premium pricing, and the fact that I said, "You know what? This is me. This is on me. This is my fault. And this is 100% something that I can fix." It was just all the perfect timing. And I'll tell you this, Fred Zimmerman he got nothing from our relationship for years, but every time I called him, every time I reached out to him in the Facebook group, every time I had a question, he was the guy that just said, "I want you to succeed." And he has a similar story. We'll get him on a live one of these times, and he'll tell his story as well. It's a lot more powerful than mine. Mine was just like, I'm irresponsible and got ADHD and got in my own head, and I was really freaking lazy, and I just had to man up and take responsibility. That was my story. But for me, I had to hit a low point. I did that. And then we went from, having a 6-figure business to then having 6 figures in the bank account, to then having 6 figures in profit, then to one day having 7 figures in the bank account. Like, it has changed the financial future of me and my entire family. And I still work way too dang much, but my wife understands it, because she'd rather have the Donovan today that is a provider and that's going to do whatever it takes to secure our financial future than the lazy freaking bum that we both hate. I almost ruined it all. I almost lost everything, right? My wife was like, "I'll go bag groceries. I'll go do whatever it takes. We can, I'll take money from my parents and this and that." And I was just like, no, and no, I got this. So that's my driving factor. That's why every time I do an in-person training, there's always somebody there who's like, "Dude, I'm trying to come up with a solution, because my wife is dependent upon me. We might get a marriage if this, we might lose our marriage if this doesn't work out. Or, dude, I spent my last dollar coming here. And my advice to you there is like, look, you do not need to spend money to grow your business and get out of whatever stink that you guys are in. All you have to do is make a decision and back it up by action. It doesn't even have to be Christmas lights, guys. It can be anything. You know, if you're in America, if you live in the USA, I firmly believe that you can go out there and scrub toilets and make $100,000 a year just scrubbing toilets. Okay. It doesn't have to be the Christmas light industry, but what it does have to be is you have to make a decision and you have to back it up by action. I just did it with Christmas lights. I went all in and it worked out great. And so that's sort of my mission now, is to help other people who want to make that decision to go all in. And I will also say this, I'm going to share some of my Facebook posts and things like that. I clicked the wrong button, but so it doesn't have to be the Christmas light industry. That's just something that I know very well, and I feel like I can solve any problem that you guys are up against, whether it's commercial or permanent or temporary. So let's get to it. How much did they hit us up for? 3,500. Double it, son. Actually, I think $4,000. I don't quite remember. I think it was like $7,000 or $8,000 that they tried to hit my wife up for the photo package. I want to see Maddie Girl in one of these. I have no clue who Maddie Girl is. Oh. Yeah, okay. Rebecca Dean, you're talking about your grandbaby. Okay. Man, we got the whole Dean family on here supporting us tonight. That's good stuff. Yeah, Dean. Okay, so this, for one, is a canvas. Like a canvas. No, it's not, right? That right there is not a freaking canvas. This is a canvas. You see what I'm saying? Like this right here is a canvas print. So that's what we thought we were getting. But here's the sales process for this company. And I will also say this. We are thrilled with the results of this photo shoot. Okay? So at the end of the day, as expensive, is way more than we were ever going to pay what they hit us up for, but we're still happy because of their whole process. Essentially, my wife won she won some little contest, right? I get that is their lead generation way and stuff like that, but she was still a winner. It's typically a $1,500 sitting down fee just to take all these photos, right? It's $1,500 sitting fee. Whether you buy anything or whatever, that's just to pay for the experience and have your kids dress up and get to see the photos and things like that. And it comes with this right here, one canvas. This is not a canvas. This is maybe $20 printed on like Snapfish or something like that, okay? But it's their time. It's all this stuff in the background is real, okay? Real plants and real costumes and real everything. And they go through and they edit it and they add all these little fireflies and stuff like that. It was a really cool, really fun experience for my wife and the kids and everything else. Now, at the end of it, they try to upsell you, of course. And I think they hit us up for $7,000 to $8,000. And my wife was like, no, I just want the digitals. I don't want any of that. And they said, we don't do that. That's not an option. That's not how we do business. We do the prints and we do this and we do that. And it's $8,000 for everything that you want. And my wife goes, no, we're leaving now. Like, goodbye. They overcome some objections, this and that. And probably after like 20, 30 minutes of like, my wife just being like, nope, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Don't care. Don't care if we were billionaires. Wouldn't pay that much. That's not us. Okay. We ended up getting 10 digital prints and one actual canvas. That ain't a canvas. Okay. And it was $1,000. Now, again, that's more than we wanted to spend going into it, but we were very happy to get that. And now we own the rights to that and we can print off what we want and everything else. But, look, that is a premium photo shoot. All the other photo shoots that we typically go and do and stuff like that, I don't even know we paid that much for our wedding, okay? But everything we typically do, and we typically have a photographer that we've worked with for like 10, 15 years now, it's like $300 to $500, okay? And we get the digitals. We don't get any prints or anything like that. We pick a background, but this is a new thing. It's different. You can't put hiring a family photographer and meeting at a park with flowers in the background in the same category as going into a studio with all the lighting and all the the sound dampening so that people in the lobby can't, interrupt, and all the costumes and all the plants growing in the background. And think about how much maintenance. There's probably 500 plants that I see in that picture right there. Think about all the maintenance on that and their upfront costs and the rent on the building and the lead funnel for the advertising to get all the clients in there. It is a different experience. And so what I will tell you is $1,000 was their absolute minimum. Okay. They would have just given her the free $20 print and you get nothing else. Okay. Because that's their business model. But they're going to hit them with a premium. They're going to offer them that. And I promise you, there are plenty of people that go, that is amazing. I want all these prints. I want it this size. I want it that size. I want it my grandkid and this and that. And they absolutely pay the $7,000, $8,000. I guarantee you they get that. Okay. Hey, here's cool. Vitali is going to jump on here in about 20 minutes. He's an installer up in Washington State. They do things a little differently up there. So it'd be pretty cool to be able to, for him to jump on here. That'd be pretty cool. There you go. Quality versus quantity, right? Let's talk about this. All right. My mom used to take us to Sears or photo shoots like this. Same, right? I mean, we used to, we would go and we get our pictures taken every year for like $300-$400, right? I get it. Let's see. One other person I think wanted to put their 2 cents in. Had the same thing with my daughter in Charleston, South Carolina. Gave us a free photo, then pitched us a $6,500 package, said she would be in the magazine. We took the cheaper package. Look, that's perfectly fine. But what I'm telling you is for 10 years, guys, 12 years, whatever, I was only offering the cheap package. I was only offering the $300 photo shoot. I didn't even have an option to offer my clients for $7,000, $8,000. I had no premium option. Here's the other thing that comes with that. I couldn't afford to make my clients' dreams come true, or I couldn't afford to spend all day at a job and make it perfect. I had to get in, get out, get in, get out, get the job done, because I was only charging $100, $200 for my services, and I had to make that money. And I had golden handcuffs. I couldn't afford new trucks. I couldn't afford proper insurance. I was paying my guys really cheap, and we were risking our lives, skipping safety measures. Because of the way that I charge and the type of clients that my business attracted, I could not afford to run a proper business. And that is 100% on me. That all changed 2018 when I started offering Christmas lights. Okay. And so I know that I'm dragging on for a while here, guys. I've been going for 20 minutes now, but how we do our Christmas light package. And when we talk to people on the phone, this is, we're at the 22-minute mark. Okay. Here's the conversation with my clients when they call in. Hey, I'd like to get some lights hung up on the house. We say, perfect. We can absolutely help you with that. What are you thinking about having lit up? Are you warm white or are you multicolor folks? Do you want the house done? You want the bushes done, the trees done? We spend some time with them on the phone this time of the year. In November, we get straight to pre-qualifying them. Okay. I get to a point in the conversation where I can ask them, have you had professional lights installed before? If they say yes or no, my answer is great. Let me tell you a little bit how we do it, so that it might be a little different than what you were expecting, or it might be different than the company that you've hired before. And then I go into quality and I go into how. I don't just talk about what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about all of our lights are professional grade. They're custom cut to fit the home. The lights are going to fit your home like a glove fits your hand. Okay. There's going to be no extra, nothing short. We're going to install them. We're going to provide all the lights. We do not make you purchase anything. All right. If something goes out and I can't match it perfectly, I'll take them all down and replace them. For whatever reason, these lights are not performing right, I'll just chuck them out and you guys get brand new stuff. I'm going to handle everything. Also, next year, you can change up the design, you can reduce it, you can increase it, and you don't have to buy different materials. All of that is on me to maintain and provide you perfect quality materials all the time. Okay. We're going to install them. We're going to maintain them. We're going to take them down. We're going to do storage. Okay. You're not buying a thing. You're paying for the surface, the holiday lighting service, holiday lighting package, whatever you want to say. And I stay away from the word leasing or renting or whatever, because there's a legal precedent attached to that. There's no legal precedent attached to holiday lighting package. Okay. That's just my thing. That's just our terminology that we use. And we are just very clear with clients. We're not making you buy anything. You can change up your design from year to year. You can change up the colors. You can add on whatever, and it's not going to cost you any additional materials. When they go bad in a few years because of the wear and tear and the weather and everything else, I replace them. I'm not going to come back and try to charge you more money every 3 years or whatever. Also, this literally happened today. Okay. I went out to an HOA, and I am going to try my best not to say the name of the company. All right. But they're a well-known company, and they sold them $9,000 worth of lights, and they put up lights on the front of the clubhouse, and they decorated like 5 trees coming into the neighborhood. And they were underwhelmed, and they charged them $9,000, and that's their business model. Great. They would have gotten, I'm assuming, a discount this year had they gone back with them. But the HOA said, we were so underwhelmed that we don't want them back on our property. Okay. I went out there today, and I got a $10,000 budget, between $10,000 and $13,000. I'm going to be adding more lights. They're all going to be my lights. The HOA can change it up from year to year to year. And I got a handshake agreement on the spot for $10,000 to $13,000 doing it my way. Right. And now I don't have to sort through the lights. I don't have to be like, oh, hey, if you don't get me, come get your lights. I don't have to have that argument or anything like that. It's all inclusive, and they're going to go with me. I'll also tell you this. The way that I'm bidding this job is for 2 guys to do a full day's worth of work, maybe 2 days worth of work. And I will be able to cover my cost with that. No other company in the area will be able to perform and do the level of detail and give them the options that I'm going to give them for that price range, right? This is going to be a win-win all over. And that's just what I choose to do with my clients. Some people choose to like get a lot more money year one. But here's what happens when you make a lot of profit off of selling somebody lights. There is a benefit for you to always get new clients, right? Because you make more money off them. You're going to make so much more money off your clients year one than you do following years. So I promise you, this company does not care that this client is not going to sign back up with them, because they'll just go and they're always going to be chasing new business. They don't take care of their existing customers. For me, I'm year to year. There's no multi-year contract. There's nothing holding them to me. If I don't do a good job, they will hire somebody else. So my business model encourages me to absolutely take care of my clients, go above and beyond, and provide a high level of customer service versus like always chasing new people and just sell them an expensive ticket year one. All right, so let's see. We got a few comments that popped up here. You know, holiday lighting experience, sell the magic. Look, Jason Guyman says all the time, sell the magic. I don't know. Look, I'm not selling the magic of Christmas. I think, I don't know, that doesn't fit my personality, but I 100% agree with holiday lighting experience, right? But I can't go on there and sell them the magic of Christmas. That just doesn't sound like Donovan Quessenberry. But what I can do is I can say, look, I've been in business for 20 years, and I want your business for the next 20 years, okay? I've been installing lights, and I do trainings around the country, and I import, and for me, it's all about quality. It's about the best experience. It's about, that's what you're getting with me. Matter of fact, I pay people to go around in the evenings and look at everything and make sure that everything's perfect all the time. A lot of times the touch-ups, I'll notice them before you ever notice them, right? This is what you're getting when you hire Donovan Quessenberry, and it is the customer experience. It's not really the magic of Christmas. I don't know. I don't know about the magic Christmas, but they're going to be blown away by the quality of the lights and how they look. Okay. And they're going to be blown away by my customer experience. I sell on customer experience because you can't get Donovan Quessenberry anywhere else. Okay. You can't get NC Christmas lights anywhere else. And that's just me. But look, if you got a really cool, whimsical sales approach or something like that, your house is going to sparkle or this or that, fine. But for us, it's like the customer service, when they answer the phone, the whole customer experience throughout the whole journey and everything else. So with that, guys, I am going to take a minute, and I have 2 Facebook posts that I did that we have a bunch of questions on that I want to go over. So let me see if I can bring that up real quick. I don't know that I can do that. Nope, delete that. How do I do camera? No, that's not it. How do I do this? I don't know that I can do it now that maybe I can't do it in this view. All right, let me delete that. Cinematic picture-in-picture, half. Yeah, that I don't know. I don't see Vitaly in here. Well, let me just go over it. Maybe I can drag it in here. Add source. There we go. That's how I can do it. Okay, so add scene. Let's do media. That right there. Add source. Local video screen share. Right here. Screen share. How do I pick? All right, so let's do a window. Here we go. All right, share. Cool. Can you guys see this? Can you put it in the chats if you guys can see this? Oh, that looks bad. Let me switch to this view. Can I switch to this view? Orientation not available while live. Lovely. Maximize. Enter full screen. Dang it. Oh, I don't know that you guys can fully see that. That's a shame. Let me just read some of it then. Let's just go back to what I was planning on doing. So I think because the orientation is this way, you guys can't see the full screen, so I do apologize about that. But let me just go over some of this and some of the. Okay, some people are on YouTube Live, but they can't chat. Look, if you go and you click on the video, you got to click on the video and post a comment on there. Then I should be able to see it, even if you are on YouTube. You should be able to see it. All right. But essentially, I shared a post that said, this is how we address clients that want to buy the lights. Okay. Or who owns the lights? And essentially we say there, I say, look, that is a great question because every company does things a little different. With us, you're paying for a complete holiday lighting package. That includes the lighting design, professional grade materials, installation, maintenance throughout the season, takedown in January, right? Now, if you just left it at that, that could be a little confusing. Is there any interpretation on professional, professional grade materials? So, and storage in our warehouse and facility until the following year. You're not purchasing the lights. Like that, I think is the key. Anytime somebody brings up about like, does it include the lights or who owns the lights or anything like that, we specifically say, you are not purchasing the lights. You are utilizing our all-inclusive service for the season. The price we quote is for a year to year, but there is no multi-year contract, right? So one thing we do is we lock them in. I personally do not offer like a discount the following year. I look at it as like, look, you're paying for this service. Maybe if you can install early or something like that. Donovan Questenberry share screen. No, don't want to do that. So maybe if you are like willing to install early or something like that, we can give you like a little bit of a discount. But that's not really something that I'm selling on to get like year to year to year. Yeah. Is this recorded anywhere? I'd like to rewatch if it's missed. Yes, absolutely. On our Facebook page, in the Facebook group, and on YouTube. As soon as this live is done, it'll turn it into a video and you can rewatch it. All right. Have you ever spent your time installing lights and at the end of the day have a customer say, nope, nuh-uh, no way, don't like it? I have had one, and that is a fun story. So Jeff, I will come back to that. And I think that there's a reason behind it. But that is a fun story that I will address here in a few minutes. Okay. Yeah, all great questions. So look, the next thing is, they ask like, okay, so I'm like borrowing the lights, and we say, well, you're not really borrowing, you're paying for the service, kind of like renting a bounce house for a party. You pick what you want, then the company sets it up, you enjoy it, and the company takes it down, right? I feel like that's a pretty good comparison, but people ate me alive in the comment section saying, it's not really like a bounce house because of the, for a bounce house, you're not charging $2,000 and you get your money back in the first thing. And a bunch of people agreed with that comment. So let's address that for a second. Okay. If you think that charging $2,000, I feel like that is the key point in that response right there. If you think that charging $2,000, you can kind of see it right there, is the problem for your services, then I think that you need to refocus on what the service is that you are offering, right? I think that there's nothing wrong with charging like $700 to put up lights on a house. And that business model, and there's a lot of people that do it. There's a supplier out in Utah that charges $2 to $3 a foot, okay? And he does thousands of jobs. I'm over here at $8 to $12 a foot, and I have hundreds of jobs. It's just a different business model. I'm trying to find clients that want the best of the best of the best. They want to drive a BMW or a Lexus, right? They want to go on vacation and spend $20,000. They want to send their kids to private school. You know what I mean? They want to buy $1,000 purse, not shop at a thrift store. And there's nothing wrong with not wanting those things or not doing those things. It's just the clients that I'm after, they also come with like their home might their net worth might be millions of dollars. Like they require me to have general liability and workers' comp and full business insurance on my trucks and things like that. Like all that stuff is more expensive. They also don't want their lights put up in August. The really big companies that do thousands of houses and stuff like that, like they've been installing for a month already. And my clients, that is unacceptable. They want their lights in November. So I have a much shorter install time frame, right? They're higher demand. If there's one bulb that's out, it is a big deal. So I'm driving around at night looking for it's just a different client. You see what I'm saying, guys? And so I'm charging a lot more money because I'm also doing a lot more of service to that client. Now, I would agree with you. If all you're doing is putting up lights, charging a lot of money, and you just blow off the client and you don't even talk to them, you don't even do anything for them until takedown, yeah, maybe you are charging a bit too much. But that's not what I'm doing at my company. That's not what I'm teaching people at CLC. I'm teaching people to deliver the highest quality customer service that you can even think of, right? That's what I do at my company. That's what I would encourage you to do if you're charging several $1,000s to put up lights, okay? And so again, at that point, you can see that the labor cost on that would significantly outweigh the cost of the materials. And that's another big point. If people are like, oh, if I provide the lights or this or that, I mean, we go into great detail about every single thing that we're doing for our clients. Again, it's not what we're going to do. It's not, we're going to put up lights on the house and we're going to put up, we're going to put up a wreath on the house. Okay. It's not that. That's not what we're doing for our clients. And it's how we're going to do it. Okay. Hey, are you taking questions? Yes, 100%, man. I'm trying to go over people of like mindset of premium service tonight of how to describe a lease over a purchase business model. And so that's what I'm focusing on tonight. I got about 7 more minutes of that. And then I'm going to get into straight questions. So we got a lot of people on here right now, like a ton of people for this time of the year. It's great. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you're getting some good value out of all this. But all the specific questions here in like 6 minutes now, I'm going to start answering those questions. So guys, put all the questions you guys have in the chat right now, and I'm going to start going through them. And so I try to keep my lives to about 1 hour. And then after that, I'll stay on as long as possible for as long as people are answering questions. But I want to respect everybody's time and try to get the meat and potatoes done in about 45 minutes, have time for questions, and then log off if everybody doesn't have anything else. So, yes, guys, I hope that you understand the lights are a small part of what we're offering. The cost of the lights is, not the selling point or anything like that. And I'll go ahead and give you guys a few other resources. Okay. If you're like a hands-on learner like me, you can go to CLC Light Training right there, and you can attend an in-person training. All right. We have one coming up in Indiana. We got one coming up in Washington State here shortly. And I'll probably do some one day, like if you're part of Vibrant Nights or CLC University, I'll probably like invite you guys out. You can just like work with me for a day, like a hands-on day. Also, let's say that you're a larger company, you have 6 crews, or you have 3 crews, 10 crews or whatever, and you don't want to fly them all to one of our trains. You can just cover my cost, and just get me a hotel and travel or whatever. Just cover my cost, and I will come out to you and train your guys for a day. We'll focus on the hands-on stuff. And so look, just reach out to me, whatever I can do, whatever I have time to do, guys, I'm willing to do that to get you guys some training. If you're looking for professional grade materials and if you're getting value out of this live, if you're getting value from our group, please shop, see if we can earn your business. Let me know what it would take to earn your business. I think that we have the best pricing, and I know we got the best product, in the industry. And what else do we got? Yeah, that's all the promotion stuff I got for you. I don't want to spend too much time promoting. That's not the point of the live. But let's get back to here we go. All right, this is a fun one, and I think it's worth telling this story than getting on to my next comment. Well, you know what? All right. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I will tell you that funny story. Let me address one more post that I made in the group. Uh, and essentially, what I did is I shared that on I don't remember what day it was, Monday or Tuesday or it must have been Monday. On Monday, we had over $100,000 worth of quotes approved on Monday. Okay, or converted, right? So we converted over $100,000 worth of quotes. They weren't all made that day. I think most of them were, but it just so happens we had $100,000 day, and I shared that in the group, and I'm just like, look, attend the live, guys. Ask questions. If I can do it, you can do it. And a lot of people took that as bragging. What I have to say is that my background is entrepreneurial. Like from high school, I ran my own business. I'm very comfortable talking about my wins. I'm very comfortable talking about my failures, and I'm very comfortable talking about finances. But my wife, okay, came from an employee background, and like so my family's over here. We're talking about my family's always run businesses. Even my parents split up when I was young, but my mom still ran a business. My dad still ran. Like I come from an entrepreneurial family, and just talking finances and talking numbers is not something that we're ashamed of. And another thing that I'll say is like a lot of business owners, CEOs, stuff like that, a lot of like very successful people that I'm around are very comfortable talking about finances, comfortable talking about numbers, and it's not braggadocious. Let me backtrack. The primary point of that is not to brag. I'll be honest with you. I am very proud of what I've accomplished. My family's proud of it. A lot of people in the group, I'm proud of what you guys have accomplished. And it feels good being able to let people know that you're successful. Okay. So there is an aspect to that. I'm not trying to shy away from it, but that is like out of 1 through 10, that's number 10. Okay. Like my wife loves me regardless of how you guys think about me. Right. And that's really the only person I really care about their opinion when it really boils down to it. All right. Outside of that, I could quite honestly care less about what anybody thinks about me or somebody being proud of me. I know my mom and my dad are proud of me, regardless if I'm a bum or successful. And so that's like, again, items 1 through 10 of why I do that. That's the lowest on the list. I truly want people to understand where I'm coming from and what this industry has done for my finances and my future and how it like has really turned some things around. And I really want people to believe if I can get $100,000 worth of quotes approved in a day, you can get 10,000 or you can get 1,000. So many people here have joined that group coming from a background of working for somebody else. There's people that are 50, 60 years old starting in the industry who are making like 30, 40, 50, $60,000 a year working for somebody else. And they didn't even know that it was an option that you can make that. Literally, if you started today, you can make that money between now and Christmas in your own business, just installing lights on people's houses. And so many people don't even know that that's an option. And that's why I share numbers. That's why Fred shares numbers. And I'm telling you, if you meet me or if you meet Fred, you'll be like, dang, if those goofballs can do it, I can absolutely do it as well. And we have hundreds of people in the group who have also done it. So if you're on the fence, whether you think you can do it or not, join the Christmas Light Contractors Facebook group. We kick all the jerks out of the group. Okay. It is a jerk-free zone. We are supportive to the new installers and do a little bit of work, do a little bit of research and try to get a few wins in. There will be people that if you show the effort and you go and you do a few bids or you're struggling with something, if you just share it in the group, I promise you, there will be no jerks. And if there is a jerk, we will kick them out of the group. We don't care how much money they spend with us a year. That is not what we stand for. And you will get the support you need to absolutely win in business. Okay. So with that, I've had way too many people tell me, thank you, Donovan, for posting that. That gave me great motivation. And so I'm going to keep doing it. All right. Until the day that I go overboard and people just think that I'm doing it to brag and I'm not helpful or it's not helping anybody. At that point, I'll take a look in the mirror and I might change. But until then, if I can do it, you guys can do it. And I'm absolutely going to share every single one of my wins because maybe you didn't win today, but maybe I did. Okay. Here's another thing. If you could share a win, there are plenty of days that I think it just sucks. and I have to fight not going back to that Donovan Questenberry that was a lazy bum, okay, that I freaking hate who he was. And so I can log on to the group and I can see some of your guys' wins and successes and that you just closed jobs. Okay. I am by far so far from one of the largest, Christmas light install businesses in that group. There are many people that have 7-figure companies. There are many people that are doing $10 million in installs a year in that business, much bigger than me, that I get motivation from you guys. And just sharing here's the other thing. When you share like, guys, I just closed my first job, that keeps me going. So, again, that's why we do it. We're trying to do iron sharpens iron in our group, and we're going to keep sharing that. So with that, let's get to my funny story. So I had this lady that called us for a touch-up, and we've had a few people that are like, oh, I thought that there was going to be a lot more, or they'd be a lot more, something like that. Those are always the $600 ones. Okay. But my funny one, and those people, like, I'm just like, well, I'm so sorry. I can add you more lights. And what I try to do is I try to do like a couple of bushes or a couple of trees, and they get something for free and they're happy, and I just put them on the do not work list. Okay. Typically those type of people are just trying to get something for nothing. But another one, always ones that I find, it's not funny, it's like frustrating, but it's a funny frustrating, are the people who are trying to impress their neighbors or trying to impress their family. They either can't afford it or they just, you know what I mean? Like, they're not doing it for the right reasons. And so I had this lady one time that called us for a touch up, and I show up with flowers. I show up with, I always try to make something a little special, right? I try to give them more. I try to fix the problem, give them more, do whatever. So I show it was poinsettias, like Christmas flowers. And I leave that there. She wasn't home. And so I'm up there, I'm swapping out the wreaths. Like, she wanted decorated wreath, and we put up a plain one or something like that. And she comes walking up, and I go, hey, so-and-so. And I called her name. And I said, how does it look? And she just walks from her car up the driveway, doesn't even look I had the flowers literally sitting in front of her front door. She just moves them out of the way with her foot, opens the door, shuts it, and doesn't say a word to me. And I go, oh, what have I walked into? And then I get done, I go and I knock on the door, and I say, hey, Mrs., I just want to let you know I fixed the wreath for you. How do you think it looks? This and that. Also, I bought you these flowers. I got some of these for my clients. I wanted you to have them. But I think that this is the wreath that you talked about. And blah, 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 what do you think? And she goes out there and she's like, that looks okay. And I'm like, something's going on here. And I just ask her, I say, I'm getting the feeling from you that there's something beyond this wreath that is upsetting you. And she's like, well, I thought that there was going to be more here and more there, and I really don't like the amount of lights on this one tree or this or that and the other. And I go, okay, go inside and come back out in like 20 minutes. And I go on this one tree, and I add a lot more lights to that tree. And it looks good, guys. And then I go on, that was just on the right side of her house. So I go to the left side of her house too. And that one, she didn't even pay for it. But I was like, that would kind of like bookmark the house. That like keeps the design. If I got a tree over on the left side, it's nice to have a tree on the right side. So I go and I put up lights all on that tree, and I make it match. I make it look great. And I say, hey, knock on the door again. I say, hey, come check this out. So I add a lot more lights. I think it looks great. What do you think? And also over there, if you notice, I went ahead, I thought it would just look good. I added lights. I added another complete tree for you as well. I branch wrapped that tree for you. What do you think about that? And she's like, yeah. And I go, okay, I've obviously dropped the ball somewhere, Mrs. Jones. What would it take to make you happy? And she goes, well, if you took $500 off, that would make me happy. And I go, ding, 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 ding. I know what's going on, right? This lady is just complaining to try to get a discount. And I run into that, but typically we weed them out. Typically our process, like we weed out these clients and we see them coming from a mile away. But if you slip through the cracks, and I say, and this is where I had a little bit of fun with her. And I said, I can absolutely do that. And her face lights up and she smiles and she's like all happy for a second. She's like, ha, I just won. I'm gonna get a discount on this install. And then I do a slight pause. So I say it like this. I say, hey, I can absolutely do that for you. When you sign up next year, I will take $500 off your price next year. And I just got the biggest chuckle in the world off of that. I mean, she was so happy for a second because she thought that she got one over on me. And then And then the next year, she did not sign back up with us. But like, it all made sense. Like, I was bending over backwards because what she was complaining about, I thought was what she was really upset. And come to find out, like, when we went to charge her at the time of install, her credit card got declined and this and that and the other. And I got the story from Lauren, my wife. She's the one that booked it. So what happened was this lady, she had gone to her sister's house. They had Thanksgiving at her sister's house the year before, and her sister had hired me, and the house looks amazing and beautiful and everything else. And then this lady, Thanksgiving was at her house this year, or that year. So she hired us, and she couldn't afford it. I mean, at the end of the day, she couldn't afford it. She hired us for all the wrong reasons, and she's just, trying to get a discount and this and that and the other. And I wish she would have just said something like, I wish she would have just said, hey, I really can't afford this, but Thanksgiving was at my sister's house last year and it just looks so beautiful, but I can't afford it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a sucker. Like, if you give me a story like that, I'll probably go out there and put up the lights for free. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big sucker, and we charge all of our other clients accordingly. I can pick a few good cases every year, but people who try to like get one over on me or just complain about something for a discount, yeah, no, homie don't play that game. So that's my one fun story that I have for that. Aragon. How do I click off of this? There we go. Aragorn from Lord of the Rings got a haircut. Yeah. So look, I usually have a tradition to let my hair grow out, let my beard grow out and stuff like that when I start installing and stuff. But I started this year really shaggy. Like, it was already, and I had to go get a haircut the other day. You look like Aragorn. Sorry. So what's funny is my dog is actually named Strider from Lord of the Rings, who's also Aragorn. From Lord of the Rings, and my other dog is named Gimli because he's short and fat, so he's Gimli the dwarf. So yeah, we have fun with Lord of the Rings, guys. But yeah, look, we're going on 50 minutes, guys. I'm happy to keep answering questions. You guys got any comments or questions or anything like that? Put them on the chat. This is the time that I'm going to start working through them. All right. I need around 130 strands for a tree, columns, and bushes. Do I keep the pricing at $35 a foot for using these lights for one house? Great question, man. So for columns, it's not necessarily $35 a strand. So let's say you use like two or three strands of lights on a column, or maybe you just use one strand. You got the lights that are going to be going across. Let's see. Do I have a picture of columns? Yeah, here we go, right here. So the way that I would install this right here, let's see that you guys can see it. It's not too shiny. There we go. So the way that I install this right here is, all of this is wired up to one outlet, one plug, one timer. So we have an outlet here, and the power cord runs like along the back side. If you go to a column, here's my tip for you when doing columns with mini lights. Do not plug your roofline lights into the end of your mini lights. If that strand goes bad, your entire display is going to go off. All right. So we got our power wire going, our SPT1 wire going up this column. It goes to the SPT1 wire on the roof. And then from there, we do an inline female plug, inline female plug, inline female plug. And we have a jumper wire that jumps down, and that's how we power up these columns. Okay. So you got to think about this way. I have to do an inline plug, all right, at each of these. And then I have to create a jumper wire. And then I have to have my lights start at the top and finish all the way at the bottom. What you'll notice on this right here is that there's a handrail. Okay. There's a handrail in the middle of that column, okay? So I have to feed the bottom portion of these lights in between the balusters and the column, and it takes so much time to do that. Even though this is only probably 3 strands of lights right here, okay, it takes so much time, and then you have to have your spacing between the rows above the column where you're just wrapping, and below the handrail right there, it has to be equal, so you have an equal amount of lights on the bottom as you do on the top. In this situation, I'm not trying to just make $35 a strand. I might charge $150, $250 for this one column because it's a lot more work. It's not like a per strand price, okay? What I will say is that if you're charging $35 for a strand of lights, you shouldn't lose money in that situation. So if you're using 2 strands or 3 strands in that situation, you're charging $75 or $100 for that column. I think that you're probably spending a lot more time than you think you are, but you're not going to quote unquote lose money. Now for trees and bushes, are you doing like a spiral wrap around the canopy? I don't think I have any of those. Yeah, I don't have pictures of those. I really don't do a lot of those where you just like take mini lights and you circle them around the outside of the tree. I personally just don't like the way that that looks. But we do like some where we're wrapping every single branch or we're wrapping the core branches and stuff like that. On those right there, 35 is like my minimum that I'm trying to hit, right? If I got 20 strands on that tree, it might take me all day. It might take, I might do a tree that's like this size right here. Okay. And I'm wrapping the branches on this. Well, not this particular one. Yeah. I don't have a good branch wrap photo on here, but this is what I like to do is like C7 spaced out a lot bigger for my trees. I'd rather do that than and have the tree look like this than do a spiral around the outside. But I got some, I got some where we just wrap, like all the branches and stuff like that. And I would say $35 in that case is my minimum. So how do you estimate that? For one, on the bushes or on the trees or on that column, one way to estimate it is to actually know how many strands that's going to take. And you can do that once you have some experience. Or in the beginning, what you would do is you would just say like, here's a good one. All right. So on this little tree right here, this is a little tiny tree. Okay. And I might only have one strand of lights on this little teeny tiny tree right here. You guys see that? It's only one strand of lights, but I don't want to do that one tree for $35. You see what I'm saying? That needs to at least be $100 because I got to run power wire to it. I got to do inline female. I got to wrap it and everything else. So that one tree, even though it's just one strand of lights on it, it's a lot more per tree. Let's look at this one over here on this side. This is more of like a holly bush or something. There you go. So how many strands of lights is it going to take for doing this right here? Well, if you're brand new, you don't really know how many strands that's going to be. But I can tell that usually that first story gutter right there is about 10 feet. So this is about 8 feet tall. So one way of bidding this is doing it by the strand. Another way is just saying, okay, well, it's relatively narrow. I'm going to charge for bushes and trees. Okay. For my skinny bushes and trees, okay, I'm going to charge $35 a vertical foot. For my wide ones, my ones that are really fat at the bottom, I'm going to be closer to like $55 a foot. So that's on the relatively skinny side. It's 8 feet tall. So I'm going to like $35. So that's going to be a $250 to $300 bush right there. And I think that's a quicker way of quoting it. And you're typically at that point, you're not arguing with the client of, oh, I used five extra strands, I need to charge you more. Or you're playing that battle between who quoted it and the installers that did it or whatever. It's just like, hey, here's how much it is for the tree. We're going to make it look amazing. I defended you, actually. That's the example used 3 to 4 years ago. So what he's talking about is the lease model used in bounce houses. So yeah, hey, thanks, man. I do appreciate everybody defending me in the groups and online and stuff like that. I do appreciate it. I will say, though, I got no problem with people disagreeing with me. What I tell everybody is like, look, take everything that I'm saying and just try to learn something from it or learn what you don't want to do. You know what I mean? If you strongly disagree with me, just learn everything that I'm doing and then do the opposite. I'm okay with that as well, but approach it like the grocery store. When you go into a grocery store, you don't go in and buy every single thing on the shelf. What you do is you walk and you pick out the things that you need to cook dinner for yourself that night, and then you buy it and you leave. Approach the Facebook groups, approach training, approach everything like that, like going into a grocery store. You don't have to buy every single thing that that they're trying to sell or they're trying to offer you or tell you to do. You can just pick and choose what works for you. I will say this, though. There are quite a few people that literally do step by step everything that I do, and they're pretty successful. So, here's a great question. So what do you charge first year versus second year? We are quoting the same price every year. Okay. I don't typically lock people into 3-4 year contracts. Now, if they want to do that and they want to lock in and sign a contract and pay for it all in advance or something like that, yeah, I'll give you a discount. Or if year 2, they ask for a discount, I'm willing to give, I have a 5 to 10% built in there for some jobs that I can typically do. Like if we're just doing roof line and last year, let's say this, I raised my pricing to $12, $15 a foot. Well, I could give you a 5-10% discount in there and still fall within my range. You see what I'm saying? So if you approved later on in the year and I'm charging you a higher rate than like $8 a foot,
I could probably give you a discount and still be above $8 a foot, and it's a win-win. Okay, so I try to have somewhere where I can give a discount. A lot of times I have a takedown line item on my quote that I could at least, give people free takedown, right? So I can give them some discount if they ask for it. But for me, year to year, it's pretty much the same pricing. What do you use for a safety harness on the roof? I've got a super steep one that I did last year that's not safe, and I need a better way. So I use a Ridge Pro. I know a lot of people use the buddy system. I'm not a fan of the buddy system where like one guy's at the top or on the other side holding onto a rope and the other guy's leaning. Because if that one guy falls, the chances are they're both just going to fall off the roof and hit the ground. So I use a Ridge Pro, and so that sits on the pointy part of the roof. So that Ridge Pro would sit somewhere along here, okay, on the top of the roof, and then you have a line that a harness and a line that you can tie off from, and that's how I do it. I know other people they use a lift or they install anchors or whatever. But I would say, look, if you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. We've had a couple of people die in the industry hanging lights. I don't want that to be you. Your family doesn't want that to be you. If you don't have the skill set or if you don't have the tools to do a job, just pass on it and go get a job that is well within your scope of executing, right? But I love Cougar Paws, or there's a new shoe that's come out that's called Contra. It's more of a tennis shoe. Those are extremely comfortable. We're going to have a bunch of them for sale here in a little bit once the container lands. So I'm going to use those shoes. I use a pitch hopper. I use a Ridge Pro. I use a harness and a lanyard. All right. What is the biggest benefit for doing a lease model versus a sell model for the business? Lease model is that you're building inventory, right? You are, if you buy a $600 wreath, okay, you can go in and you don't have to charge the client $1,000 to put the wreath up year one. You can go in and you could maybe charge that client $300-$400 as a lease, and you can eat that expense. Maybe you make it up on the roof line, okay, but you can give that client a $600 wreath, and you know that you can be $400 and $400 in year two. You're going to make $200. In year 3, 4, or 5, you're going to make the profit that you need to make. Versus if you're selling the client a $600 wreath, you'd probably need to sell it to them for $700-$800 and then charge them $100-$200 a year, and kind of go about that way. And so that's a benefit right there. For my commercial clients, like I just went over this HOA by saying, look, all these trees out here by the road, we can change up the mini lights that we're going to put on them every year, and we can do a different design. One year we can make them look like a candy cane. One year they can be warm white. The next year they can have some sparkles in there. Like we can change it up, and you don't have to buy new materials every year. A tower tree or anything like that, you can make it look different. We can swap out the big commercial displays and things like that, and you don't have to have the same thing every single year and spend a ton of money on new decor every year. So from a client standpoint, they don't have to maintain everything. They don't have to buy anything. They don't have to store anything. And from my standpoint is I get to control the product. If I go out there and my guys were really rough on it or the weather or whatever, and or let's say I can't get inventory that matches it. You know what I mean? If the client owned it, I would just have to put up stuff that doesn't match, like warm white minis or something, okay? But the way I'm at right now, if I don't have enough mini lights, I can just, or they get damaged or something like that, I can take it down. I can just rip it off that bush real quick. I can throw them all away and put up brand new lights because the material cost is much less than my labor cost of trying to identify which strand is like bad or something like that. Or if my guys are too rough on takedown or we lose something or whatever, like it puts all the responsibility on me. And I like that I don't have to go to my client and be like, hey, you got to buy all new inventory because last year we had an ice storm, and when we took it down, it got damaged. So I think those are some of the biggest benefits. And, again, you're building some assets that if they don't sign up next year, if they go with somebody else, you can just put those lights up on a different job. Can you speak about follow-up process, please? How many times you follow up? What's going to be the sequence? All right. So Fred, go and watch last Monday's live. Okay. I went over this in great detail, but real quick, we email, we text, and we phone call. Right. And by the time we get through everybody, we start the process over again. Right. We start at takedown. Okay. And we follow up with everybody. Hey, that's when they're the most excited. So we try to get them signed up at Takedown, like at 2024 Takedown. We got everybody signed. We try to get everybody that we could signed up for 2025 install. Right. So we start then, and then we do another round for Christmas in July. So we start in August, July, somewhere in that time frame, and we go through it. And then now, September, again, we start another round of it, and we're going to keep going. And, basically by November 1st, if we haven't heard from you, we are recycling all those materials and putting them back into the install bins. How many times you follow up? Yeah, follow up until they tell you no. You know what I mean? And then follow up next year. Like just quit following up that year and follow up the following year. Because sometimes they think the grass is greener, that they're going to get something cheaper. But, when they pay somebody cheaper, their lights look cheaper, and that doesn't make them happy. So they're willing to come back to you and pay that actual price of what it takes to do the job. How many of them was commercial versus residential? I'm assuming this was talking about the jobs that were approved. One was commercial, the rest were residential. There was also at least one permanent lighting job. The $13,000 I know was permanent. Some of the other ones might have been permanent, but I don't know. Full transparency, I've not looked but at 2 of those quotes that got approved. The other people handled all the other ones that got approved. So yeah, $100,000. I only looked at 2 of them, but I do know one of them was commercial and one of them was permanent. I got these funny sayings, and half the times I get them backwards. So Tanner, it tickles Tanner every time I say something. So the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Yeah. So, when somebody doesn't get what they think they paid for, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. All right, here we go. Oh gosh, this is a very long. Oh, dude, this is a paragraph and a half. All right. Dear gosh, I can't even get the whole thing on my screen. All right. I have a very high-end client that was underbid last year. I did 3 trees, hung a wreath, plus the front of the house for, is that 1,000 or 10,000? That's 1, 2, 3 zeros. Bro, when you put it in a comment, you don't need decimal points after the decimal. That just confuses people who can't read like me. All right, so $1,000. Yeah, dude, I can already tell you that was underbid. All you got to say is $1,000 and a tree in the same sentence. I'll tell you it's underbid. I was just trying to get a win. Dude, good for you. Now look, I want to address something real quick before I go any further. I've been installing lights since 2018. My first year, my average ticket was $700. And I also gave a 33% discount to those people. I'm glad I didn't get a lot of people signed up. But I gave a 33% discount to those people to sign up for the following year. And what it turned out, year 2, I started offering what they asked for at a good competitive price. Okay. But I didn't do everything at a good competitive price. But I did offer them everything that I was willing to do at their install. Okay. So like the house, I might have offered for like $600-700 year 2, but the trees are going to be $600-700 each. Right. So I'm willing to go there and do one thing that's competitively priced, but everything else is premium. But I'm also going to quote them everything that I'm willing to do. And my average ticket jumped up to $1,700 just by making that change. All right. But there is something to be said for getting a few wins. Like, guys, that's why they tell you make your bed. The first thing when you do wake up in the morning is like make your bed so that you start the day with a win. Same thing. Go out there and do some work all day. You made $1,000. Who would complain about making $1,000 in a day? Like that is good money. And a lot of people have never even seen that income in their life. Think about people around the world that don't even make that in a year. You know what I mean? So in some third world countries. So bro, you are winning. You are absolutely winning. There's psychology behind getting a win and going from a win to a win to a win, instead of like going through 2 months of like just fail, lose, don't close anything. Like go get a win. I 100% support that. Gavin, you are doing a great job. The house looked amazing, and I got the jobs by the neighbors stopping by and talking to me while I was working. Sadly, they didn't approve me using photos for the house for advertisement. This year, they request me to do Thanksgiving themed lights, come back to do Halloween, come back to do Christmas. I'm overwhelmed with delivering for them. If it was you, how would you take this opportunity and turn it into a positive experience for both me and them? I'm at a loss for doing Thanksgiving themed lights, red, orange, yellow that I have thought. Okay. I apologize, guys. I'm on the tail end of a cold, but you packed a whole lot in there. The neighbors came over and talked to you. All the cheap jobs that I've bid in the beginning, I've maintained their pricing. So if they've hired me every year, I kept the pricing the same. That's just how I do business. You don't have to do it my way. I don't even like the fact that I do that, but it's just something that I do. I don't even think it's good business advice to give to people to do it that way, right? It's just something that I personally do. The result of that is when all the neighbors and everybody asks me for quotes, I bid them at current day rates, and I don't close any of them because they know I just did that neighbor's house for $700 or $1,000, and I quoted them $3,500. It doesn't seem fair. Okay, so that's the drawback to doing that and just not ripping off the Band-Aid and getting rid of them. Now, to address the bulb change outs and stuff like that, charge them accordingly. Okay, there's nothing wrong with going to that person and saying, hey, I did your house last year. There's nothing wrong with saying this. Okay, and if I was in your situation, I think I probably would have the conversation with the client because it seems one-sided. Okay, I would just tell the client straight up, but you might lose them. Okay, you might lose $1,000. But if you're, I give you permission to go to the client and say, hey, last year I was doing your house. I thought I know I didn't run it by you in advance, but I thought that I was going to be able to use this for advertising purposes and be able to take pictures and share them on social media and stuff like that. And I wanted to respect you when you said not to do that. But for me, that was the big advantage of why I priced it the way that I did last year. So this year, this is going to be the price, and this is going to be your cost for changing it up. And I think that there's nothing wrong with bidding it how you'd want to bid it, with just going and doing the job and not being able to use any photos. Okay, so that's just my opinion. Now, another thing that I will say is, I think at residential, there's it's a little different because there's an inherent there is an inherent right to privacy because it's their home. But there is something to be said that they're your photos. Standing at the street taking a picture. It's not like you're, if you're walking in their yard or the driveway or something like that. But there's something to be said for standing at the street taking a picture. But I wouldn't get in that fight. I wouldn't even pick that. I wouldn't even go down that route. I would just say, hey, here's your price this year. Take it or leave it. Now, your solution, because they want 3 or 4 color change, Minlian Permanent Lighting C9 bulbs. So go to MinlianPermanentLighting.com, okay? And all the roofline lights, okay? I wouldn't be changing out the trees and the bushes and all that other type of stuff for every holiday. But your roof line, just put on those color changing C9 bulbs and program it out. Program it out to be for Thanksgiving, yellow, orange, pure white. I call it candy cane, right? For Halloween, let them pick green, purple, orange. Pick 2, and it looks great, right? So out of green, purple, orange, pick 2, and it will look amazing on their home. But you can just program them to be this color for this time frame. This for Halloween on November 1st, go through Thanksgiving, being yellow, orange, and pure white. And then you can even throw a purple in there, right? Something like that looks amazing. And then for whatever they want for Christmas, they can be warm white, can be multicolor, whatever. And then also you can say, look, I'll also throw in New Year's. So on the 31st of December, it'll change to red, white, blue, and it'll be that for 2 or 3 days. And then on the 3rd of January, they'll automatically turn off and it won't show anything. All right. And you go back to that lady after that, and then you sell her for installing those lights. You take down the C9 lights and you put up the Minlian permanent lights. But that is exactly what I would do with this particular client, is they are a perfect candidate for Minlian permanent lighting. They want the lights up for a really long time. They want different colors. So I would absolutely look into that. And you can reach out to me if you got any questions. You're very welcome, Jeff. 20-foot columns, by the way. Love it, dude. These right here are 20 foot. So for those big columns, look up a product. It's called a no wrap strap. So these took me like a couple hours to do year one because I was wrapping them all the way around. You got to get it so tight and everything else. And it's like, it was a nightmare to do them. But you can do these columns. They're called no wrap strap. You put it around the top. You get them really tight. Maybe you need to use a zip tie or whatever, but you get them really tight. It's a band that goes around the top of the column, a band that goes around the bottom, and you have your lights kind of do like a candy cane. Instead of wrapping it around, they kind of do like sort of like that, like sort of a candy cane type spiral, like a half spiral or one full spiral, or even one or two spirals on the whole column. And you can actually alternate between red and white and make it look like a candy cane. But for those thicker, really big columns, that's absolutely how I do it. And then you're running your lights almost up and down. So you can just have the ladder at the top and somebody at the bottom, and you hook it. There's these little hooks on them where you hook it on there, and then you drop the lights down, and the person at the ground just makes it do like a half spiral and hooks it on the bottom hooks and then goes back up, uses the pole, and you just go up and down. And you can get that column done in like 10, 15 minutes now compared to like 2 hours. Is my mic not working? What? Can you guys hear me? Am I just talking to myself right now? There's no way that I'm talking to myself. Is my mic not working? Really? That's going to stink. Let me go to live right now. There's no way Tyler would not troll me like that. Maybe it wasn't working there for a second. I really hope I haven't been talking to myself for like 30 minutes. How lame would that be? Okay, can you hear me? Test, test, test. Is my mic not working? Oh, yeah. No. It's working. What are you talking about, dude? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Maybe it wasn't working there for a second. So sorry, I was way behind on the comments. So thank you Tyler for pointing that out. I would need 56 strands for 4 big columns. 1,900 just seems like a lot. Yeah, I mean, dude, the amount of work that's going to be, right? They're 20-foot columns. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, maybe you charge $1,000. Okay, maybe you just charge $250 a column or something like that. But I would say that you are going to be doing, if you want them to actually look good, okay, then it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take you a lot more time to do those columns than you think you are, than you think it's going to take. Now, if you're just going to do like 3 strands per column and it's going to look kind of like then don't charge a lot. But what I'm telling you, man, is if you want to make it look good and make it look wow and everything else, then charge accordingly. Usually by myself. I don't know what this refers to, but yeah, there you go. Look, I know a lot of people that are super successful, and they do all the quoting themselves. They use really good technology for getting the quotes out, or they use VAs or something like that at some point when they can't do it, or they use call services. So they do all the phone calls, all the quoting, all the installs. I mean, I know plenty of people that do 6 figures doing it all themselves, and they just work part-time. They work, they take all their vacation time. So they take all their vacation time in November for the year, and they maybe put in 2 full weeks, but then the other times they're working after work and on the weekends, and they crush it. They make 6 figures, $150,000, $200,000 just working by themselves. I would encourage you to at least get a helper. I mean, when you get a helper, it puts your efficiency through the roof. You're not doing all the roof work and the groundwork. I mean, you get a lot more done. At least I do when I at least have a helper. Should I use C7 for bushes? Yeah, absolutely. I got some around here somewhere. What I like doing for my C7 is actually doing blinker bulbs. So they like randomly twinkle, they randomly turn on and off. And so you can just string those up and down the bushes, or I'll put mini lights on there and I'll put those on there, and it creates a really cool effect. I absolutely love doing that. So for all of our trees and everything else, we're quoting C7 almost exclusively, unless the client asks for mini lights. That's a very good point. I mean, how's your client going to feel adding holes to the roof? And the moment you add holes to the roof, you now own that roof. If it ever leaks 10 years from now, you're the one fixing it. So I would encourage you to come up with a way of not adding holes to a client's roof. There you go. Go Cougar Paws and Pitch Hopper. You can't ask an employee to do that. I know Freeland's talking about himself, right? As a business owner, I don't have to follow all the OSHA regulations, but once you do have employees, you do need to, you do need to absolutely, follow OSHA regulations. Brooke Waters messaged me. I don't remember, but Brooke, I'll give a shout out to Stacy. Stacy has sold in her career. She has way more experience than me. She sold $69 million worth of commercial work. She owns co-owns Red Sleigh Workshop. You pay an onboarding fee. She's going to evaluate your business, tell you where you can improve, help you actually send out quotes or anything like that. She trains and she'll help. I mean, anything commercial related. Stacy Jordan is a great resource. How do y'all put up wreaths? Okay. This guy right here. There's one screw, deck screw, at the very top of this peak right here in the siding. And I use like a 3.5 inch. I use like a 3.5 inch deck screw rated to be outdoors. And I have it at a downward angle. So that way I can screw it in and I make sure that I hit a stud. If it's brick right there, I'm drilling into the mortar and I'm putting a Tapcon in there. You drill your hole, you put a little stick in there, and then you drill the Tapcon into that. The stick helps it grip a little bit, okay? And I'm putting that all the way at the top, all the way under the soffit. Rain will never reach it. It'll never be a problem, but it's also rated for outdoor use. And then on my wreaths, I have structural wire. It's called the Best Damn Wire. It's on our website. So the Best Damn Wire. And it is coated wire. It comes in white and black, and it's a solid core. So you can shape it. You can make it shaped like a loop. You attach it to your wreath on the backside. You affix a loop to it, and you just hang that loop onto that one screw. If this is wood, or if you're not putting it all the way up there, see, like my wreath is almost touching the soffit on both sides, so the wind doesn't blow it. It doesn't move back and forth. If you're going to have it lower, like down here, you maybe need to do a point of contact, or like you need to do 2 anchor points instead of 1. So that way it doesn't blow back and forth. On wood, or if there's a window there or anything like that, you want to put the black pipe insulation or pool noodles or something like that. You want to zip tie that to the backside of the frame so that if it does move a little bit, it doesn't rub the paint off of painted surfaces or like metal siding or anything like that. So that's how I do those big wreaths up in the gable. On everything, on every window, look, we have suction cups and everything else. If you're going to do suction cups, do 3 per wreath. Do 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 2 o'clock. So if one of them fails or 2 of them fails, that wreath might be a little crooked, but it's not going to fall down. If you only do 1 suction cup, I promise you, the wreath will fall. But clean the window real good, put the suction cups up, do 2 to 3 per wreath, and you should be good to go. Now, I'm at the point in my business that I'm not putting wreaths up on windows unless I put a screw there and I hang it the same fashion that I would do the other ones. If they don't want a screw put up, I'm not putting a wreath up because I'm tired of going out there doing touch-ups, because the one thing that even those suction cups can't do is like protect against the wind. So they can be blowing back and forth and just everything else. And a suction cup is not going to hold that if we have a big storm. All that stuff is going to be coming down. So in my opinion, it's like that can do more damage if that falls on a client's car or something like that, versus if I install that structural screw, if I install that outdoor rated screw as an anchor point, and I do it properly and I silicone around it and I seal it up, that's perfect for eternity. No damage to the house. In my opinion, it's actually improving it, because now anybody can just come up and hang a wreath right there, and they don't have to keep drilling holes or scratching up the paint when it blows around, stuff like that. How do y'all get leads? Best way to get leads. Anybody else want leads? Okay. So, all right. Best way to get leads. Year 1 immediately is going to be, Vitali has joined. What? We got Vitali on here?
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on? How is it still light out there? Are you like living in the opposite side of the world or something?
No, it's only 6:25 here.
Oh yeah, so Washington State, three hour difference. Well, you're at the tail end of it, man. I don't know. I don't know how much we can talk about. Well, we can chit chat for a bit. So Vitali, here's a question for us. How do you get leads? First off, tell everybody who you are. Tell them where you're at. How long you've been in business. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man.
Vitali here. I'm from Washington. I've been doing lights since 2016, 2017. Opened up my company in 2018. Started doing Christmas lights from there, and then I went into window cleaning and gutter cleaning, roof cleaning, all that. So been doing for 10 years now? No, more than that. No.
Yeah, if you're 2016, you're right at
almost 10 years.
Yeah, right at 10 years. Yeah.
So and then got together with Augie with Minleon. Been selling the lights here locally for 3 years now.
So where are you at?
Washington. We're in
Washington State or Washington, D.C.?
State. Washington State. We're in Seattle area, just the north of Seattle. 20 minutes away from that big Patrick Walker job that he does up there in Tulalip. So yeah.
So if anybody's in the Washington State area, you absolutely can reach out to Vitaly. You carry all the Minleon product. If you need help with installs and anything like that, if he has time, he'll help you out. He has a lot of experience, right?
Yep.
Now look, I think I'm coming up there pretty soon. We're gonna do a training together, right?
We are.
Do we have any links ready yet, or no? Are we jumping the gun talking about it, or
no? The venue is reserved, so it's going to be October 16th and the 17th. So Thursday and Friday.
Okay, a month from now, literally a month from now.
A month from now.
Tickets.
So Donovan's going to fly out. We're going to try to get Augie up here also. Just like last time, we had a really good turnout. Donovan came out, helped us train the local guys out here. This year, we're going to do a full 2 houses. One is going to be permanent install, and one is going to be regular one. The houses are right next to each other, so we're going to be able to do both of them, and the guys will be able to see the product. Or the houses we have here are a little bit different than the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
We're up here in the Northwest, so the construction and all of that is a little different. We don't have all that soffits and all of that.
You guys have a lot of exposed rafter tail soffits, right?
Yes.
Where you can see that. We do not have that around here at all. All of ours is like boxed fascia and soffit. So ours is a lot more square than yours. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting installing permanent lights on that. I mean, what are we going to have to do? Are we going to have to do what would we have to do different when installing in that area? Do you know that yet, or do we got to come up with a game plan?
We're going to have to come up with a game plan. I think I have an idea, but we're going to have to see.
It's going to be a little different for every home, right? Depending upon the construction. But the cool thing is like, look, if you guys are in are you considered the Northwest? Where are you considered?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So if you guys are in the Northwest, you can absolutely come out to that training and literally get, experience, because it's different if you're installing in Colorado, if you come out to my training in North Carolina, like it's just different construction. So, Vitaly's putting that on. CLC 100% supports Vitaly. We love your story, man. So, do you want to share with everybody a little bit about your background? I mean, everybody can tell you got a little bit of an accent, but do you want to share that on the live or no?
Maybe next time we can do that. But I'm an immigrant from Ukraine. I've been here since '92, but my parents immigrated here, and it just a story for a different day.
There you go. Well, but look, at CLC, we love Vitaly. We're going to support him any way we can. I'm going to fly up there, help him with training. Even though he has more experience than me, he's like, Donovan, you got so much energy and you can talk a lot faster than me. So I think that's why he wants to be up there. I don't know.
Yep.
Cool, man. All right. So what's your opinion on the best way of getting leads?
Getting leads. For me, it is just referrals at this point. Referrals and just having first thing I would recommend is I did just talk to a guy about 2 weeks ago. He's in the Sacramento area, California, and he has a situation where he needs to find a different source of revenue. He got laid off from his he was a teacher for 20 years up there, and he got laid off and he has nowhere to go.
He got laid off from being a teacher. He didn't have tenure or something. He must have been real conservative or something being in California.
Yes.
They kicked him out.
Correct. Yep.
Hey, no, that's really what happened.
Yep. So first thing I told him, come to the training, go online. But first thing you got to do is get your presence on Google. Put up a Google My Business page. Having a Google My Business page. That way, at least some people will start seeing you, getting those reviews, and that's where your leads are gonna come from in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat now. You know, it's like we got so many jobs that got put up. I don't do a whole lot of like advertising. Now, do you do like a lot of yard signs or Facebook ads or anything like that?
Yard signs, and then we tried Facebook ads last year, but I think I wasn't ready. I kind of jumped into it just a little bit too late. It was the end of October.
Yeah.
And I think that was a little too late to do that. But I've done from the beginning. My first, I think 2018, 2019, I went with Zeke, creatively innovative
for Google Ads.
For Google Ads, and he does an amazing job. So.
And his business is creatively innovative or something like that, or
creatively innovative.
Yeah, Zeke Domowski. So anybody wants to reach out to him, I mean, I endorse him as well. He does a great job.
The funny part is those customers that I got 5-6 years ago through Google Ads, I still have them as my customers.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
I'm paranoid now. I just looked over and like it's not lit up, and I'm like, what in the world is going on there? What if I touch this button? Oh, what about now? Do I sound any different?
No.
All right. Well, look, I agree the same thing. Like, guys, it's do the basics well. You know, like do all the things in the beginning that we talked about. You know, depending upon your budget, yard signs, Facebook, Google, Google profile, posting on Facebook organically. Do all those things and see what's going to work good for you. Because I'll tell you this, what works for Washington may not work for North Carolina or vice versa, right? But do all of it and be able to track it and see what's going to work. The universals are build a brand. So show everybody your brand real quick, right? It's awesome. Holiday Lighting Depot, right?
Yep.
That is so friggin' cool. Like you see that driving down the road, you're going to remember it. You know what I mean? You're absolutely going to remember that. So I have NC Christmas Lights. Guess what NC Christmas Lights does? And guess where it's located?
North Carolina.
Probably in North Carolina. They probably hang Christmas lights. You know what I mean? Like, so you build a brand and you start doing a good job and you start executing, and then customers leave you a review and you post a bunch of these photos like this and you start sharing it and you got it on your Facebook page and you have it on Google and everything like that. You do that for a few years, then you start getting a lot of referrals and you don't have to worry so much about advertising. But there in the beginning, get a bunch of yard signs, and that's usually a brand new person's recipe to success. Put out a bunch of yard signs.
Yep. Yard signs work really good. There's a guy in my area last year. I'm not going to name any names, but you know who I'm talking about. He put out 1,200 yard signs. And he got Dylan? a lot of work out of that.
Was it Dylan?
Yeah,
it was Dylan. Yeah. So Dylan had a small business for a while. He came out to lighting launch and he just took it seriously. What, like last year, a year before or something, and bro just blew up. Good for him.
Yep.
Yeah, Dylan's a good guy. Okay, that blocks your whole face. How do I become an installer from your website? You should put your nose just like right. I took 2 of your classes for permanent lights when you and Jason worked together. I don't think I did any classes for permanent lighting with Jason. So Jason installs a different brand. Like, look, here's the thing. I got everything that Jason and I talked about. Nothing's changed, guys. I mean, Jason's a great guy. He just decided to get a job working for another company. He, for my install business, I watched like 10 YouTube videos of Jason's, and that's how I got started my first year. So, all of that still applies. I mean, and then I got in really close to Fred Zimmerman. Fred Zimmerman kind of mentored me, but Jason was the first like 5-10 videos that I saw on YouTube. I think that's a lot of people's stories. Come and do an in-person training or something like that. Yeah, look, everything that back then I feel like still applies. What is a little different is pricing has definitely changed. And how you actually market is what has changed, right? because Jason is not an installer. Nothing against him or anything like that. He talks to a lot of installers, but he's not an installer. What worked back then is not working now. So that's, I would say, it would be the only difference. How do I become an installer from your website? So I don't know what that means. How do I become an installer? We don't have a certification. We don't require anybody to like take a certification or anything like that, but you're more than welcome to learn. You're more than welcome to buy product from us. You know, if you're going to purchase wholesale, you can reach out to the chat and you know, but you can just order straight off our site, and I'll give that to you right now. There you go. So you don't need to take a certification. You don't need to come to training. You don't need to pay me a dime. You know, honestly, you can just watch the lives if that's what you like, and just choose to be an installer. Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right. Mike stopped working, but Mike is good now. You're good. You're good. You're good. I can hear you. I can hear you. Thanks for answering the questions. It's coming from something else. The mic isn't actually working. I don't think it's your echo got bad. Or Price per column. Okay. Do you do a bunch of columns?
We have a few, and I just charge 150 per column. It's usually half column or those skinny 6x6 posts. So it's just 150 a column.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. It's like 125 to 250, somewhere in there, depending upon like how big and how wide they are.
Yeah, and they will get, if they're really simple, they'll get three strands. If it's 4 strands, then we'll start bumping it up.
Yeah. Can you explain the leasing price for seasonal lights? You store and lock in a yearly rate for 3 to 5 years? ? So leasing for seasonal lights, the roof line, I'll keep it real simple. Charge somewhere between $6 and $12 a linear foot. You know, start out at $6, and as you get busy, just keep raising your price. For bushes, try to make between $35 and $55 a strand, or per vertical foot of height, try to make $30 to $55 a vertical foot. If you're wrapping trees and branches and columns and stuff like that, you may need to actually count up your strand. It might be a little bit more difficult to price that. Unless it's trees, pretty much for roof line, keep my pricing the same from when they first hire me to as long as they hire me every single year. If they skip a year and then try to come back, they get current market rate. So I really don't lock it in. I personally don't do a 3 to 5 year contract. Do you do a 3 to 5 year contract, Vitaly?
No, we don't. We just keep it the following year. As long as they sign up before September, we'll give them a 15% off, but they have to pay in August.
Mm-hmm. Pay early. They get a little bit off. 15%. That's kind of you're giving away a little bit right there.
We're changing it up. This year is going to be 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you get your foot in the door for commercial? For me, the best thing to do is go make a list, right? If you see that they already put up lights, add them to your list, and then in the off season, talk to them. This can be a 6 month, to 1 year process to land commercial jobs on the really, really big ones. Most of my commercial jobs have reached out to me just through my online branding. They found me on, they found me on Google, and they just reach out to me, and we were able to bid them. The job that I got today, $10,000 job today, came from online, I believe, and they found us, and they weren't happy with the previous provider. So what I will say is with commercial is, if they like the provider that they have, you'll probably never get that job, right? The moment that other provider screws up, it's their job to lose. Okay. So it's not really your job to gain, it's their job to lose. Or go out to people and you can just door knock. You can solicit them and be like, look, you really need this, right? And you can do it that way. Vitaly, do you do a bunch of commercial work?
We do only a few water tower, which is 135 feet. We do that, and we did do a couple of.
You just casually said we do a 135-foot water tower. Yeah, just casually. How big of a lift do you need for a 135-foot water tower?
135 foot.
That would make sense.
I like in that situation, there is a difference between the lifts. There's a straight boom. There's the boom with that articulating with just the basket that goes up and down. And then there's the one that's articulating boom lift where it goes into a Z.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I can park the lift in one spot, and I could be able to get around the whole tower, going left and right, but not on the backside, going left and right. But if you have a straight boom, that boom is 125 feet, and you can't come down to the middle of the water tower. So
Now,
articulating boom lifts are more. You can do a lot more with it.
what happens when the wind blows and you like go like 3 to 5 feet back and forth?
I've had that. So I had an employee. His first day on the job was for that job, and it was a 16-hour day. And we had some wind. We were actually moving around up there, and yeah, the guy never showed up again.
How do we get your contact information to contact him? So what, where can people sign up for the class, or what? We will have it listed on CLC. We're going to list it, and anybody that signs up, we'll email you over that information or whatever. And you can plug into
all
his
the info
training.
is going to be on CLC, or you can reach out to us on holidaylightsdepot.com.
So HOLIDAYLIGHTSDEPOT.com.
Yes.
All right. So holiday
Lights.
Just like that?
Yep.
Okay. HolidayLightsDepot.com. You can get product. You can reach out to them. You can sign up for training. Anything you need to do. There you go. Look, as your business grows, storage space is absolutely a concern. Vitaly has a shop, and then on his new property, he plans on building out as well. So as you grow, I mean, look, it's a legitimate thing. You're gonna need some. You need to put it somewhere. Eventually, you're gonna outgrow your garage or outgrow that storage unit. That's the reality of the business. That's another reason to charge, because I mean, my first warehouse cost me $70,000 to $80,000 a year in rent. In some areas, it can be pretty expensive. Okay, is leasing price different than regular sale price? I'm new. How do you sell each one? Can you explain each? Oh man, what I will say there, okay, that's a lot to try to explain at one point in time, like go over all the details. Here, check this out right here. No, that's training. There we go. CLC University, A to Z, how to install, how to price, examples of quotes and things like that. And we're about to add a lot more content to it here very soon. So at the beginning of October, we're going to have a ton new content for 2025. But right there, you can learn A to Z. It's $99 a month, and you can just watch it all and then cancel. So it might just cost you $99. But do that, and then also join the Facebook group. Is a great resource. There's a lot of pricing information in there. But the real quick is we're not selling lights to the clients. We're providing everything. We're doing a design. We're providing the lights. We're installing them. We're maintaining them. We're taking them down. Client doesn't buy a thing. For roof line, we charge between $6 and $12 a linear foot. And for our mini lights, our bushes and our trees and stuff like that, we're getting between $35 and $55 a strand is what we're targeting to do. Watch my live from Monday. I actually brought up several quotes that I've done, or I think I did not several, but I brought up several line items on a quote that I had just sent and got approved. So watch that from last week, and I go over it in great detail on how to do all your quoting and stuff like that. So with that, Vitaly, what we're going on an hour 45. I mean, we got half the people watching that we did an hour ago. So closing up, what are some words of wisdom? And then we'll get you on again here pretty soon and have a full hour with you where you can tell your story and everything else. But for somebody that's just thinking about getting started in the industry, what would you tell them? What's your advice to them? Just getting started or thinking about getting started?
If you're thinking of getting started or you want to get started, just get started. CLC University has everything you need. Jump on there, go through that on a good weekend instead of binge watching whatever you're going to watch. Go on there, watch all of the information on there, and then you'll be able to, you'll be more comfortable starting and just get 3-4 houses. Get your parents' house installed, get a couple friends' houses installed, and then you just go out selling. That's it. And if you're already in the industry, in the home service industry, first thing you do is just you have that client list from all the customers you have. 600, 400, 1,000, 2,000 customers right there is your database, and you just reach out to the, hey, we're doing Christmas lights. We're trained. We have all the expertise. We do all the commercial grade lights. This is what we do, and you'll be so surprised who the people who already trust you with going into their house or working on their exterior of their house. They're already your customer.
Yeah.
Reach out to those people.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Like, make the decision, then figure out the details. You know, you do need to be able to work on a ladder, right? That's a requirement. You probably need to have some sort of vehicle to be able to get there. But besides that, I mean, the actual learning to install the lights is very easy to learn. You don't have to come to training. You don't have to pay for a course or anything like that. They are available if you're more prone to learn that way. And then again, we'd love to earn your business, right? So you can go to holidaylightdepot.com if you're in Washington State, or you can go to there we go. Yeah, lights for sale. You know, anywhere in the country, we can get you 2-day shipping. If you're not local to one of our warehouses, we do have a bunch of warehouses across the country that we're happy to ship you guys out lights. So with that, God bless, take care. If you're in Washington State, you definitely want to check out Holiday Lights Depot. Sign up for that training in a month. I'm going to fly up there. I'm going to have a good time. I might even come a day early to hang out. I don't know. It's a busy time of year for us, but we'll see. I'll see if I can't get away. We're going to have a little bit of fun somewhere in there. Okay. But with that, and then we'll have Vitaly back on maybe the next week or so, and we'll get to learn his story.
All right. Thank you, Donovan.
All right.